Thank you for listening to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please support the show by subscribing to and leaving a 5-star rating for the show on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and any of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also support the show by going to our website, blackandgoldhockey.com, where there's always exciting articles by the BNG writing staff. While you're there, don't forget to click on the fanatics.com banner for a great sports fan shopping experience.
Hey, you done yet? We gotta start the show.
Behind the net to Sanderson, Orr! Bobby Orr! Orr from the Boston Bruins!
30 seconds left in the period. The Bruins are shorthanded. Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque from the face-off circle to the right of Reggie Whitman. Fired it down and Whitmore blew it. Did he ever? To Bergeron on the drive, save, rebound, he's loose. Sagan kicks him loose. Bergeron scores! The Priest Bergeron with the point of the dagger in their throats. They rip it out into Orr's hands and kill the beast. The Boston Bruins have won it after being 3 down in the third.
The Black and Gold Hockey Podcast is powered by BetOnline.ag and in partnership with the Black and Gold Production Sports Media Company. This is Season 6, Episode 257, and we kindly ask that you please subscribe to our weekly Bruins Hockey Talk on all worldwide audio podcast platforms and video content on our related Black and Gold Hockey Podcast YouTube channel. Hey, we have a big show today. I'm -1. I'm flying solo today. Our co-host Heather Ingerson is attending a family matter, and I just want to give her a shout out and make sure that everything is okay with her. Continued thoughts, my friend, and wish you could be here, but I totally understand what the situation. So hopefully we get you back next Tuesday when we do record. But for now, the show must go on, and we do have an awesome guest, one of my good friends and guy that I really look up to when it comes down to Bruins prospects up in Canada and the NCAA and all over the place. And his name is Dom Tiano. He was a fantastic guest, and I'm sure that folks are really going to like what he has to say because he's just a very knowledgeable person when it comes to hockey at the developmental level. And we do have a jersey to give away. Today is Jersey Giveaway Day, and I'm totally psyched. We have an Andy Moog hand-signed jersey that we'll give away later on, so please stay tuned for that towards the end of the show after we talk to Dom, and we will mention the winner and hopefully get that sent out as soon as possible. But before we do all that, we do have to hear from show sponsor BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues to march to the postseason. BetOnline.ag remains your number one spot for all worldwide sports this year. Head to BetOnline's new updated website or mobile app to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline.ag is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline.ag when the game starts. All right, you just heard me talk about BetOnline.ag. Please go there, check it out. Sign up for a free account. Use the promo code CLNS50 to get a sweet ass bonus. It's a lot of fun. I'm not a great gambler, but I always love and enjoy BetOnline.ag because they're so easy to work with, and their new website is just, it's up to date and it's amazing. So go check them out. We love them as a show sponsor. With that being said, let's get right to our conversation with Dom Tiano. And as previously mentioned at the beginning of the program, I do have a very special guest. I'm totally pumped for this gentleman to be on the show once again. It's been way too long. His name is Dom Tiano, and he is at Dom Tiano on Twitter. And he's the creator of Dom Hockey, which is a website that covers lots of Bruins stuff, but it's very versed in the other areas of hockey as well. Fantastic website. The one-stop shop to go for your weekly Monday prospects. This is the article I wait for every Monday morning. Dom Tiano, welcome back to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast, buddy.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on. It has been a while since I've been on any podcast, so I think people stopped calling me. And when I saw today that you were doing a roundtable, I said, you know what, I got to get on. So we arranged this real quick, and here we are.
Well, I appreciate you being the only one that answered. I love it. No, it's great to have you on. I hope that everything is going okay, because Dom is in Canada, and we're going through the same crap. Numbers are going up. It's getting bad, but my thoughts just go out to you and family to continue to be safe and so on through these tough times. But I do really, really appreciate you being on the program.
I appreciate that, Mark, and you too, and everybody else that's out there listening.
Awesome. All right, let's talk some bees. Let's get to some Boston Bruins talk first, and then before we go, I got to tap into that mind of some prospects that I have teed up that I'd like you to talk about and give a little bit of an update and some insight on, because the prospect talk is getting bigger in Bruins Nation. It's because you, it's because me, it's because all these great people that dedicate their time to get people up to speed on who's coming up the ranks, and these people shouldn't be shocked when they get in the lineup and in their NHL debut. So
that's right, Mark, and you got to give credit to the Bruins, because really until the 2021 draft, we haven't had a lot to talk about. But there's some players they picked in 2021 that we can really get excited and get behind.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled and can't wait. All right, let's talk about the NHL Boston Bruins. There was some additions during the offseason, and notably Eric Haula, Nick Foligno, Tomas Nosek, and goaltender Linus Ullmark. And I just want to get your thoughts on, like, put yourself in Don Sweeney's shoes real quick. And I know it's a tough task to do, but were you happy with these moves? And also, on a dovetail on this question, were these the right moves that you would have done?
Boy, start with a hard one. Can we start with Ullmark in net, Mark?
Sure.
Because that seems to be the one that has got everybody's ire up. Now, in all honesty, there isn't a GM in the NHL that would have gone into the season with Jeremy Swayman and Daniel Bladar as your number one and number two goaltenders. Not one. It just was not going to happen, especially for a team that is supposedly going to make the playoffs and has Tuukka Rask coming back. If Swayman and Vladar had faltered, Rask wasn't going to come in and save them. It would have been too late come January or February when he's ready to go. So I didn't have an issue with Ullmark whatsoever. I knew it was going to take him some time to get adjusted. I mean, look, he came from the Buffalo Sabres. Enough said right there. Then the contract. I'm sure that Linus was kept abreast of everything that was going on with Tuukka, knew what the situation was, and that he was potentially going to come back. Excuse me, Mark. To sign with Boston, he wanted some protection, so hence the no movement clause. I'm sure he had other offers to go elsewhere. So He was willing to do this and be a backup to Tuukka if there was a no movement clause, which meant he couldn't be sent down to Providence and he couldn't be traded to Arizona, for example. He at least gets a say on where he goes. If it comes down to that point where, hey, Boston approaches him and wants to move him. So that's the reason there's the protection in the deal. You yourself wouldn't sign Boston on that kind of contract without it. Mark, am I correct?
Yeah.
Why should Linus Ullmark sign the same deal? So that covers Ullmark. Let's go to Erik Holland next. I was excited about the signing. Here's the issue that I've had with Holland to date. I think he's better on the wing than he is at center. Much better. And I think we've seen the difference when he's playing on the wing as opposed to center. If we can get that from Holland on the wing and he starts to produce, then it's a good signing. But the question is who do you put down the middle? Foligno, I didn't mind it because he brings a little bit of grit that they're lacking. They're really, really lacking. Let's be clear about that. The thing I liked most about the Foligno signing, and you could see it early on that there was a bromance brewing, is I felt that he would bring the best out of Jake DeBrusk. He would be like the father figure there, helping Jake through the tough times. And obviously we've seen that, Jake is asked to move on, just to put it simply. But that's what I liked, the grittiness that he can bring, the leadership, and the fact that he's good with young players. And if Jake was to stick around, I thought he would have been great for Jake, but he's moving on. And then that leaves Forbert, right?
Oh, I forgot about Forbert.
Who else was there?
There was
Nochek.
Nochek. I remember Nochek, but I forgot about Forbert.
Yeah, I've loved everything that Nochek has brought to the team. I never expected a ton of offense from him, but he plays the game the right way. He's hard to play against. He can kill penalties. He's one of the few that goes to the net with pace and with passion on a regular basis. So I really, really, really like that signing. Forbert, I don't know. He gets knocked on by fans because he's playing top pair minutes with Charlie McAvoy. I mean, that's not his fault, right? I mean, that's where the coaching staff is putting him. And the analytics really don't look good when those two are together. But it's not like they're doing it all the time. They're picking their moments. They're, game situation dictates when they have to be out there. I mean, you look at the remind me which game it was now, Mark, where he was on the ice there for the last 2.5 minutes with the Bergeron line and with McAvoy.
Oh,
that was Edmonton, was it not?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure about that though.
So, you got to have those type of shutdown guys, and you've got to have guys to kill penalties. And let's face it, he and McAvoy and Carlo are the penalty killers. They really need another one. You take Forbert out of the equation, who do you have on the left side to kill penalties? Matt Grzelcyk? No, they don't trust him to do that. Mike Riley? Only when they're in desperation mode. So who else is there? You can't have a team of 20 stars and not have the guys that do the grunt work for you, and that's what Derek Forbert is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big body that is always seemed to be addressed in Boston. We always need that big kind of shutdown type of player. His offensive capabilities have certainly been shown this year.
Surprising,
I think he's getting career numbers and so on.
Yeah.
So it's not half as bad. It does look a little unorthodox out there and so on, but we're just going to get used to him. And out of that whole list, I think the two that I want to gravitate to on the taking time aspect of learning the system and so on comes down to Derek Forbort and goaltender Linus Ullmark.
Yeah.
And we both are huge fans of the Morning Brew with Billy Jaffe and Andrew Raycroft. And Razor was even saying, and Jaffe said the same thing, that, these guys just need time to adjust to the system. This is new to them and so on. The forwards, I don't necessarily believe that they need that much of adjustment because they're going east and west all the time. They could do that on any team. Any system can teach that. But when you're a defensive-minded person or you're constantly in the crease, those are the ones that really get noticed a lot by coaching, especially in Boston. Boston has been a very defensive team since 1924. Right. It's been absolutely crazy. So it takes a lot to learn. There's a little bit of pressure, but folks just got to give it time. I mean, after game one to see in Forbort, after game one to see in Ullmark, it was just toss your hands up. We're done. What happened? Trade these people. Send in the problem. Yeah. It was just a nightmare.
And now look at the last couple of games. But I'm glad you touched on that with the forwards because the Bruins do expect their centermen to do more work than, let's say, if you're. Well, I don't want to say Nashville because they basically play the same style, but. Pick any team. And I think that's where Eric Holla was having the trouble making the adjustment, is what's expected to play down the middle in Boston. I mean, he should know because he played in Nashville. Like I said, they're pretty much the same. But I think if we could keep him on the wing on a regular basis, I think we'd see a noticeable improvement in his game and the production start to come up.
Jumping back to Holla, before his sitting, there was signs that it was slumping, blah, 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 this and that. But once he sat for that one game, the response was really good, and I was impressed with his game after that. His defensive style jumped up a little bit more than his offensive capabilities. And I think that is what this coaching staff, and it really breeds into these players, is to, you're going to make mistakes, but be ready to get that puck back if you do. Right. So your defensive style just has to be better. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I hate to say this, but like the game of Patrice Bergeron and his four, Jesus, I can't remember. I remember Bob Gainey, but what's the trophy again?
Oh, the Selke Trophy.
The Selke Trophy, and all that, and two-way forward, blah, 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 one of the best in the league, Hall of Famer, and so on. That's the expectations of everybody on this roster, in my opinion, when it comes down to the defensive style. It's not how you score goals and how you play and being just like Bergeron, but you've got to be like him when you don't have the puck, when you make a mistake, and it's all on how you recover.
Yeah. And nobody recovers better than he does.
Exactly. Exactly.
In the end, the trophy should be renamed after him. But, we've been spoiled of 17 years of watching him play. And there's a bar there. And we expect everybody to be like him. And let's face it, there's only one, and he will likely be the only one that's ever like that. Sure, there are other great defensive forwards, but none in the caliber that he's been in. So to expect a Charlie Coyle or an Eric Holla or a Jack Studnicka to turn into a Bergeron, it's not happening, folks. Just not happening.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so we are past the quarter mark. That was the United States Thanksgiving, pretty much is that. What are your thoughts on? Let me ask you this: a two-part question again, not a tough one. Your expectations during the offseason after all these signings were done, and you looked at this team and said on paper, okay, we have this. And then you look past Thanksgiving in that quarter mark, air quotes, and now you have this. What are your thoughts on that whole transition?
My honest opinion, Mark, and people are not going to believe this, but my honest opinion in the offseason was this team is going to be slow to get out of the gate for a couple of reasons. One, the number of changes that they made and, getting players accustomed to playing the system, and two, the schedule. And I've talked a lot about the schedule early on. You can't expect 20 guys to get out on the ice playing one game a week and expect to have any kind of chemistry, any type of momentum, any type of gelling. It just doesn't happen. And I talked a lot about it, especially about the defensemen, because as we see now that they're playing a lot more, things are starting to come together. But I know American Thanksgiving is the mark that everybody looks at. And in a normal year, that's what I'd be looking at. But for me this year, I just want to see how things play out until the Olympic break. Where they are at the Olympic break and Tuukka Rask coming back, I'll have a better feel of what this team is capable of. I'm not even going to give it to trade deadline, Mark, which is March.
It's late this year.
Yeah, 25th, I believe it is this year. I'm not even going to give it that. Olympic break, that's where I want to see where the team is at. If Rask is for sure coming back, then we'll have a better sense of what this team is capable of.
So great segue there, Dom. Truly appreciate that. And we are talking to Dom Tiano from Dom Hockey. Go to domhockey.com. I will put the show notes in the I'll put the whole link in the website. I forgot all those numbers, Dom. I apologize.
Yeah, but I don't even know why I came up with those numbers, to be honest with you.
But I will put it down there for the listeners to check out, and hopefully they'll bookmark and get on board with all your writings because they're fantastic. But the Olympics. The numbers are going crazy on the world. It's happening again. It sucks. And it's even happening to our team, particularly this today and before the game tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. What are your thoughts on the Olympics? Is it worth it at this point, or is it just? I mean, I know you're a proud Canadian, and you probably saw some unbelievable Olympic action in your time. Not to age you at all, Dom, but it might be it probably is one of your favorite times a year.
Yeah, I love the Olympics. I love the World Juniors. But it's not because I'm a proud Canadian, Mark. It's just because I'm a proud hockey fan. And, that is some of the best hockey we'll ever get to see. I would love for the players to take part in the Olympics, but I just don't see it happening with the threat of being quarantined in China for 3 weeks if you test positive. I just don't see it. I heard news today that the Chinese government may be willing to waive so that they could quarantine at home. But this may not be fair for me to say, but are you going to trust the Chinese government?
Right.
So if I was a player, I would be very, very leery, because let's face it, they go and they test positive, they can't come home for 3 weeks, and they're not getting paid. And we're talking the highest paid. Imagine Connor McDavid going there, being paid $12 million a year. How much money is going to come out of his pocket for not playing for 3 weeks?
Nice second change right there.
Yeah. So I don't know. My understanding was that the players that were going to be selected to go for whichever country they were representing would get to vote. Yes, we want to go. No, we don't want to go. And it's just simple majority wins. 50.1%. Yes, they go. 50.1%. No, they don't go. Now I'm hearing that I've heard whispers today that they're extending it to the vote to every player in the league. So let me just throw a name out there. Let's say you're John Moore and you've got 3 weeks scheduled off and you've got a trip planned with your wife to go to the Bahamas or something. Are you going to vote yes, go, or no, don't go?
Yeah, probably no, don't go.
So I don't think it's fair to include the players that weren't going to represent their country, because I don't know if they could vote fairly, to be honest with you, Mark. So, listening to Gary Bettman speak the other day, made it very clear the league does not want the players to go, but he's leaving it up to the players. It's their decision. If they decide to go, the league will support them. But understand, this is what the situation is. So, as much as a bum rap as Gary Bettman gets, over the last couple of years with this pandemic, hockey fans should be glad he was there to lead the way, because he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah. And now you segue into another like wormhole here, Dom. I love it. Speaking of Gary Bettman and trust and so on, and recent reports are coming out. Factual? No, I'm not sure, but the word is out there that there possibly could be another lockout down the road. And this one is concerning the escrow that needs to be paid up to the owners, and I think that is above $1 billion, or is it at $1 billion?
It's at $1 billion right now. But here's the thing, Mark, is the league has estimated revenues at this year to be $5.2 billion. That's in part to more fans at the games and, of course, the 2 U.S. television deals, okay, which brings the revenue up. That's higher than it was prior to the lockout, prior to the pandemic, okay? So the revenue is higher than it was. You add Seattle into the mix, a lot more money coming in there. They're now projecting the cap next year to be $82.5 million, up to $1 million. They're also projecting that the amount that the players owe the owners, and people say, well, why do the players owe the owners anything? Well, the players were paid. Even though they didn't play an 82-game schedule last year, they got paid, okay? But remember, the CBA calls for a 50-50 split. So whatever more the players got is owed back to the owners. That's why the players owe the owners back, money back. But they're saying now, based on this new revenue projection for this year, that the players will have paid the owners back up to 2 years earlier than predicted.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that.
So the owners could be paid back just before the 2023-2024 season, which is before this CBA expires.
Right, because it got extended.
Right. So I don't believe the hogwash about there could be a lockout because of this money owed, because it'll be paid back well in advance what even the NHLPA thought it was going to be paid back. Like even the PA thought it was going to be 2025, 2026 before the owners were paid back. We're talking 2 years earlier now. So nobody expected the revenue to be up where it is right now. And a lot of things play into it. Like I said, the 2 U.S. television deals and Seattle bringing money in and bands coming back. All right, now, bands aren't coming back in droves everywhere. There are some markets that are down, but You look at a team like Boston, they're still selling out. So to me, that's good news. Just to see even $1 million bump in the cap for next year is pointing things in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. I totally agree with that. But one thing I got to kick back on you on is, what if, like, let's just say I saw somebody tweet about it. I'm not going to mention them, but I saw a tweet earlier that says, "Don't be surprised," and this is just, they're spitballing basically. There's no truth behind it, but don't be surprised if after the new year, some cities and the numbers are so high that the teams cannot facilitate fans because it's unsafe. Now, what about those numbers then? Because we're not getting fans in the stands now. Are those going to be adjusted?
I don't know how that would work, Mark. That's a situation I hope we never come across.
I know. Me too.
I think that each individual arena, like, for instance, here in the Ontario Hockey League, Mark, I go to 4 or 5 games a week. It's mandatory. You have to wear a mask. And I see ushers going around and people aren't wearing their mask. They're not eating. They're not drinking. They're being told to put their masks on or leave. Okay? Watch an NHL game when they're panning the arena. I can easily count how many people are wearing masks easier than I can count people that aren't wearing masks, because there's a lot more that are not. So there has to be some better enforcement there. And let's face it, people need to grow up. If you don't want to wear a mask, stay home. Somebody else will buy the ticket.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And Dom, just to touch on that and kind of the irresponsibility of arenas and security and so on, is I've talked to several people. I haven't been to a game yet. I'm just not ready to get into big time groups like that just quite yet.
Yeah.
But I've known several people that have gone to games, and they say that you're told to put your mask on, you're told to provide a card with a double vaccination, and you go through, and once you get through the seeing eyeballs, it's over. Everybody's taking them off and going to the seats, and no ushers are coming down to say anything.
Yeah.
And that's got to be policed a little bit more, and not just be a jerk or anything like that, or we're not talking to be asses or anything like that. But if you want to contain something and have everything go according to plan, like we still love hockey, hockey's going on, let's keep it that way. Why are we putting a speed bump in the road of progression and trying to get better and trying to get normalcy back into our lives?
Yep, exactly, Mark. It's like, we're allowed to talk to we're not allowed to go into the dressing room anymore right now.
Nope.
But they'll bring a player out. You can set your phone on the table, set it to record whatever he's saying. Step back, he'll come out, answer your questions, whatever. We don't have the contact that we're used to having with the players, at least in my experience. I mean, I'm just talking junior hockey here.
Well, at the AHL level, Dom, I can't even talk to a player. When I go down to Providence and I cover the team as a media member, we have Zoom meetings after the game with Ryan Mougenel, and even it wasn't. I didn't go down when the full pandemic was going on. I just got back this year as a media member, but yeah, that's it. We don't talk to players or anything like that. We get all information from Ryan.
Yeah, and I understand the idea behind it is to keep the players safe, and let's face it, if they're sick, we're not watching hockey. So I can understand it. I can live with it. But as a fan, when a fan is being told, look, to keep everybody safe, not just yourself, but the person beside you, wear a mask, and you're not wearing a mask. Yeah, I mean, it's stupidity. I mean, we're lucky because we get to go to a media booth, and as media members, we understand the importance of it, so we're all wearing masks. But I wouldn't, let's put it this way, I wouldn't go into Budweiser Garden in London where there's 9,000 fans and 8,000 of them aren't wearing masks, I wouldn't leave the media booth until everybody had exited the building.
Right.
So I don't know. That's where I stand on that, Mark. I would just hate to see. I mean, we're seeing games get canceled. There's 2 canceled tonight, right?
Yes.
So I'd hate to see where we start losing a lot of games and heaven forbid a season, because, it'd be hard to survive another one.
Yeah. Oh,
For
absolutely.
the owners.
Absolutely. And not only that, if it filters down the minor pro levels where they just don't make a ton of money, they really rely on ticket sales and so on.
Yeah.
It's much like the Canadian juniors,
Yeah.
All right, Dom, we're going to take a half an hour break and hear from the awesome Bruce Sullivan from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. He's got some fantastic stuff, some hand-signed Bruins stuff. We've got jerseys from Andy Moog, Rick Middleton, Don Marquardt that we're giving away. Actually, we're giving away a jersey today, the Andy Moog jersey. So let's hear from Bruce Sullivan, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Bruce from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia with our Black and Gold Memorabilia Moment of the Week. We are pleased to announce our Black Friday sales event with autographed Bruins jerseys for as low as $59. Check it out.
Introducing our Black Friday sale on Boston Bruins autographed jerseys. Choose from the captain, Johnny Busick, white style, black style, gold style, or 1970 All-Star style, all inscribed, your choice. $69 a piece, or any 3 Bruins jerseys, $59 a piece. Next up, Jerry Cheevers, black or white. Rick Middleton, black or white. Don Marquardt, black or white. Terry O'Reilly, black or white jersey, all inscribed, JSA authenticated, $69 for one, or choose any 3 for $59 a piece.
We are pleased to announce upcoming signings with 2011 Stanley Cup champ Sean Thornton and Peabody native and NHL All-Star Bobby Carpenter on December 4th. Have jerseys, pucks, minis, and photos.
Bruins Stanley Cup champ and enforcer Sean Thornton is our Legend of the Week, and you can buy something from the Sean Thornton Legend Collection. Start with the Sean Thornton JSA authenticated, hand-signed, and inscribed 2011 Stanley Cup champ jerseys. Your choice. White style throwback or black style, just $89. Or choose this beautiful Bruins hand-signed and inscribed Sean Thornton JSA authenticated puck for just $35. Or one of 3 8x10 hand-signed photos. 2 fighting photos and 1 cup photo. Your choice, just $34. For more information on our dozens of Bruins hand-signed pieces, check us out at our Facebook page, Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia, or email us directly at bostonsportsandmusic@gmail.com. And be sure to tune in each week right here to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Let's go!
All right, we are back. We just heard from Bruce Sullivan. Folks, you got to get in touch with this guy. If you listen to his email, you should have written it down. If you didn't, rewind it and get the information. Follow the Facebook page. Like and share his stuff. He gives away free stuff. And it's all hand-signed. It has pictures, video, Ray Bork sitting there, signing a jersey, signing a mini helmet, signing a picture. It's all authentic, all authenticated, and everything like that. And Bruce is a trusted friend and one of my go-tos for all my Black and Gold Patreon giveaway gear. We are back with Dom Tiano. You can follow him at Dom Tiano on Twitter. Thank you so much again, Dom. Truly appreciate your presence here. This is one that I think that you're going to enjoy, and I think we're going to have a good conversation about. Patrice Bergeron took a little bit of liberties recently, and the response from the fans it was tough. It was tough to see actually on how much he was taking he got a broken nose out of it too, which was a little
from the
bit messed up.
Forsberg hit.
Yeah. So that was the Nashville game, but I saw that. I saw the fan freak out, but I also heard Trent Frederick come on and say about it, because he's got asked about the response and how come the lack thereof, and he said they need to be better. What are your thoughts on needing to be better, and what line should they not cross?
I don't know what I have more issue with, the lack of response or Frederick's response after the fact. It's his comments irked me, Mark, because he's the one guy on the team that should be the guy to step in and do something. And to make that comment a few days later, now, I understand there's a large group of fans that blame the coaching. They think they're holding him back, but no. You go out to the bar with your best buddy and somebody takes a swing at him and knocks him flat on his ass, and you go to step in and your other buddy behind you says, no, it's not your fight, stay out of it. You're going in to protect your buddy. Okay? Bruce Cassidy wasn't there to hold anybody back. He wasn't. Trent Frederick has lost his marbles trying to go after players for less than that. And for him not to respond irked me, but his comments irked me even more. That said, it can't happen again. It doesn't matter that it's Patrice Bergeron. You do the same if it's Charlie McAvoy, Brandon Carlo, Matt Grzelcyk. Heck, even if somebody does it to Jake DeBrusk. He's your teammate, man. Stand up for him. This idea that the two-minute instigator prevents it from happening, people should really look. Before you comment on it, do some research. How many instigator penalties are actually handed out in a season? The referees don't like handing them out. Okay? The referees will hand out an instigator if Trent Frederick had gone after Forsberg and said, let's go, and Forsberg declined and Frederick jumped him. That's when they'll give out a instigator. If he went after him and Forsberg saw him coming and dropped his gloves, there's no instigator there. Even if Forsberg just agreed to go with him, there's no instigator there. Chances are Forsberg isn't going to go with anybody because he's not that type of player.
Right.
But Forsberg is to Nashville what Bergeron is to Boston. Somebody is going to step into protect Forsberg, and there's your fight. There's your response. So this instigator penalty preventing it from happening is garbage, because it's the instigator just isn't called like that. And the mere mention that Cassidy is holding him back, no. Frederick has gotten in there trying to pick fights, grabbing a jersey, throwing jabs at the chin, face washing. But it's funny because I made this comment to somebody the other day. People aren't fighting Trent Frederick, and it's not because they're afraid of him because he stood up to Tom Wilson. It's because usually in those cases, the Bruins are down, and Frederick's trying to get something stirred up to get him going, and they're like, why should I fight you and give your team a boost?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, I don't know. That's where I stand on it. I was just not happy with Frederick's response.
No, I wasn't either. On the ice or later on in an interview. And I'm a Freddie guy. I've been around him since 2016. in the old tin can at the Ristuccia Arena in Wilmington, Mass, and blah, 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 you know, and his family's really nice and so on, and his brothers are really cool. But, you know, it's just, I expected a little bit more than that. But also, these two teams are facing each other the 15th of January. Do you think there'll be a response then?
Yeah, I think you'll see it from either Frederick, but more likely you'll see something from Foligno.
Yeah, okay.
That's my guess. Marchand will get him all riled up, but yeah, you know, in a Brad Marchand type of way, I don't think Brad's gonna drop the gloves and go with him or jump him. But I think you'll see Foligno take shots at him, and I think you'll see Frederick take shots at him.
Yeah, should be a good game no matter what.
Don't be surprised if Charlie McAvoy lays one of his punishing hits.
Yeah, no kidding. God, he reminds me of Borky sometimes with that hip. When he gets that hip involved, man.
Yeah.
And Raymond would come out of no kidding, Brett. Yeah. But Raymond just had that timing, and he'd get in that tuck. I mean, the player saw it all day coming, and it just still skated right into it.
They couldn't avoid it.
I know.
I think the best hip checker I've ever seen is Brad Park.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he could disguise it like nobody else could, and it's like, whoa, man, that was wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to another topic that I think you'll find interesting as well is the Taylor Hall. I think he's a tremendous player. Still one of the top, you know, one of the league's best. Not in your top 10 anymore, like the McDavids and so on. But I'm seeing positive things from Taylor Hall in his time in Boston, even though a lot of people don't find that they don't see the small impacts that he makes in his skating, his recovery, his defensive style of the game, and so on. But what's really bothering me now is he's getting to the certain areas, okay, but what is going on with the lack of finish with this player lately? And I know you've seen him a lot growing up.
Oh, yeah.
With him being in OHL.
Yeah. It's funny, Mark, because I was asked something similar in my mailbag, which comes out tomorrow, so you're getting the answer first.
Nice. I love it.
Here's the issue I have with that line as a whole is if you go back a year with David Krejci drove that line, and that's because David Krejci is a driver. He can drive a line. Taylor Hall has in the past, and the Bruins have said as much. We need him to drive the line if it's going to be successful this year. And for some reason, it's just not happening. I don't know why it's not meshing. Because they've had some moments. They've had some moments with extended zone time, chances. They're, a lot of times they're limiting chances against. But they've also been hemmed in their own zone at times too. So people are going to hate me for this one. So this person, when he asked me, he says, how would you change the lineup? Would you move Pasternak down to the second line? And I thought about it. And no, I wouldn't. What I would do is I would swap Taylor Hall with Brad Marchand. Because Brad Marchand can drive a line. Patrice Bergeron can drive a line. David Pasternak could drive a line. That way Taylor Hall doesn't have to be the driver. And we saw with the 3 games that Brad was suspended that there's some chemistry there between Hall and Pasternak. And you alluded to Billy Jaffe and Andrew Raycroft. They even said, Patrice Bergeron basically had an easier game because all he had to do was sit back and read off of them.
Yeah.
That's how well they meshed. Could Brad Marchand bring up Coyle and Smith or Foligno, whoever. If it's Brad Marchand, I would put Smith there because Smith is a shooter, and Marchand can get him the puck. Coyle, as we've seen, is a tremendous shooter, but he just doesn't shoot enough. Marchand can get him the puck. Marchand also has a great shot. So that's my far-fetched way on how I would do it. I know there's not a hope in hell that we're going to see it, but I don't know if putting Pasternak down on the second line, without Bergeron in the middle, how Coyle fits in there. It's like Coyle's a puck possession type player. So I don't know. I don't know how well that would work.
See, my thought on this whole thing is, it really sucked to have an offensive, juggernaut like Marchand be suspended. All right, but what it does do is it gives coaching staff and fans an opportunity to see somebody rise up to the occasion, the next man up mentality, and so on. And I think that's what exactly he did that. But I just like that small sample size that they, you can go back on the tapes and you can read that and just say, you know what, we have something here if needed. Just, I love Bruce and everything. I really think he's a great coach and so on. But I just want him to be a little more creative when you're down and out into a game. Spread the offense out. It's just you really can't rely on that top line anymore because it's not perfection. It's production, but it's not perfection.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have to split them up somehow. How you do it, I don't know. It's like to me, the thing that makes the most sense is switching Hall and Marchand. But you can't split up Bergeron Marchand crowd's going to be all over me for that one. But
I know.
Yeah, you can. We just saw it for 3 games. You can.
Yeah, exactly. How about goaltending? Let's go to goaltending. This is an interesting one, too. We already talked about Allmark and his contract at the beginning of your entrance when we talked about the new additions to the team and so on. Mm-hmm. And like you alluded to earlier, the schedule is starting to get back to basically an every other day game. And not like in early October, when we have a game and you had 80 days off.
You're right.
It was just ridiculous. The schedule was absolutely mind-boggling. But now that we're seeing these two goaltenders get into a real repetitive motion, Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, they're playing much better. Numbers are getting better. Ullmark is really, really feeling it now, and it's great to see. He's really starting to feel real comfortable, I believe. But that's also construed to what's being in front of him, too. Lately,
I jokingly tweeted the other day, like, I'm sure you probably saw it, Mark, about Swayman and Ullmark's resurgence ever since Tuukka Rask was the emergency backup goalie for practice.
I did see that.
People thought I was serious, but I was being half joking about it. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. But it was just the fact is that they're starting to really come into their own, and I think that by them doing that in the crease on separate occasions, they're feeding something that the defense is like, hey, these guys are really the workhorses in the back end. We got to step up our game. And in the past 2 weeks, I want to say I've seen a huge, huge rise in how this defensive structure is done. It's not been pretty all the time, but it's been a hell of a lot better than the defensive collapses that I've seen at the beginning of the season when
because the trust is there now, Mark. They trust both guys at the net now. I mean, they both have been on a 3 or 4 game stretch each. They were let's put it this way: up until Nashville, no goaltender had stolen a game for them. None.
That's right.
Neither Ullmark nor Swayman had stolen a game for the Bruins. Now Swayman stole the one in Nashville.
Mark Calgary?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he probably stole that game because I don't think the Bruins should have won. And then Edmonton. So, they're stealing games. The players have the trust in them. They're no longer gripping the sticks, worried about, I can't do this because, I got to protect my goaltender. It goes back a year ago with Tuukka Rask and Jaromír Halak, or 2 years ago. They could trust both guys, so there was really no difference in the way they played. But when Halak started to slow down last year, you could see the team played differently in front of the goalies, depending whichever one was in net. So having the guy back there who can make the saves that he has to make and make one or two saves that he's not supposed to make really sets the team up for success going the other way. So totally agree with you. It's made a huge difference. Now, as you say, where they're basically playing every other night, how do you split it up? I'm a firm believer, and this is totally against what any NHL coach does. So if you have a back-to-back, every single NHL goalie coach plays their number one goalie against the better team. I would go the other way. Play your backup against the better team and play your number one goalie where you're supposed to have the guaranteed points against the weaker team. But who's the better goalie right now? You don't know.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, you could throw any guy in there right now, and as long as they keep playing the way that they are, they're going to give you a chance to win. So I'd be curious to see. I don't want to say the coaching staff because it comes down to goalie Bob, who he feels is the guy who should be the starter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got a sense on how to split it up because I sure as heck don't.
Do you find it interesting that Bob Ascent is getting more involved in stuff like that?
No, I think he's always been involved. I think
we're just hearing it.
We're just hearing it now
Okay.
for the first time because he's always there. So, and he's working with the goalies at just about every practice. So, no, I think we're just hearing it for the first time.
All right, we're getting down to the last minutes of our conversation, so let's jump to a real quick one. Jack Studnicka and Oscar Skeen just got called up tonight. It's for the COVID reasons. We did not mention that Brad Marchand is out for tonight's game against the Vegas Golden Knights, and also Craig Smith is out against the Golden Knights tonight.
Is he? I missed that one.
Yeah, he's out. So Jack Studnicka's in. I've known you for a long time, Dom, and I've always been a Studnicka guy. More or less, I got most of my Studnicka insight from you because you watched a lot of his games with the Oshawa Generals back in the day. What are your thoughts on him right now and where he could be? And last year was entry-level deal, and it's kind of an auditioning for him. But the games that I've covered down the NHL and I see from my own eyes, I do see a good two-way game, but he lacks the finish even down in the AHL, and that's kind of a concern for me. But what are your thoughts on Jack and still being a prospect in this Boston Bruins organization?
I still think he's a prospect. I think when I did my rankings, I had him third behind Lysell and Mason Lohrei, and then Jack Studnicka, just ahead of Johnny Beecher. Look, again, he's another one that Bruce Cassidy gets blamed about for ruining him. Jack Studnicka is not ruined. It's well, yeah, but he went and did everything he was asked to do. He put on the muscle in the offseason. I go, yeah, but when did you talk to Bruce Cassidy and he told you exactly what it was he wanted Studnicka to do in the offseason? How do you know? Tell me, how do you know? Because I know. I talk to people who talk to Bruce Cassidy. It's not about what the guy does in the off season to get ready or whatever. It's what he does in training camp and practice. Now, we had a great training camp. Unfortunately, the numbers said he had to go back, but now I'm hearing about he doesn't look involved in Providence and doesn't look like himself. And it's like, they're saying he's ruined and all this. And I go, is he dealing with an injury? No, nothing's been announced. Just because it hasn't been announced doesn't mean he's not fighting through something.
True.
I know whether he is or not. It's not my place to say it publicly, so I'll keep my mouth shut if that's okay, Mark. But
absolutely. No, don't say nothing you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah, it's not always black and white. And fans want things black and white, but it's not always black and white. There's something there with Jack. We don't know what it is. And chances are we will never know what it is. But it's not Bruce Cassidy.
Right.
Jack Studnicka, I have talked to him many a times. I followed him before he was in junior hockey. Talked to him a number of times after games. I've had him on a podcast. He was grateful enough to come on with me. He signed a jersey for me to give away.
I remember
that.
I wrote an article about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Then he got traded. So there you go. The kid works hard. He's an honest kid. He's not going to be Jake DeBrusk and come out and demand a trade. He's just going to work harder to get to where he needs to be. And I have faith in him. I think he will get there because he has it up here. He has the hockey sense. He has the brains. He has the work ethic. And he has the attitude. Let's just let him get through what he's going through. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup tonight. Was it announced yet?
I don't believe it was announced. I think it might have been just an emergency thing.
Yeah, because I imagine Steen will get in for Smith, right?
Probably.
And Polino will probably go to the left side in Marchand's spot. And I guess Jack will get in at center on the third line. They move Holland to left wing and Kuhlman on right wing.
There you go. You mentioned Holler on the left, or on the wing, whatever wing would be good.
Yeah.
Oscar Steen, what do you think about his work ethic so far?
I love the kid. I really do, Mark.
He's awesome.
I really, really do. But, we live in a fast food world where everybody has a fast food mentality and everybody wants everything now. I have no problem with a player percolating in the AHL for, until he's out of his entry-level contract, if that needs to be the case, and that's the case with Oscar Steen. It's the old Detroit Red Wings motto. Look how good they were for so long by letting their kids percolate in the AHL. I know I'm not saying the Bruins have this fantastic prospect pool to deal from in Providence, because they don't. But the ones that are capable of being NHL players, let them percolate. Why bring them up to what was 25 games of a shit show, if I could say that, in the first quarter of the season, Mark? Why subject Oscar Steen or Jack Studnicka or Jack Ashawn or anybody else you want to name to what the Bruins went through the first 25 games?
Yeah.
They were playing one game a week.
Yeah, I know. The whole narrative of fans, that just the shiny new toy mentality. Yeah. You need to be in the NHL as soon as you leave the podium type of people. To each their own and everything, but today's NHL is so much different. You really need to invest in what you have and not just expose it and then get rid of it. I believe that the Boston Bruins work very well with what they have especially down in Providence. Ryan Mujanel and Trent Whitfield and Matt Walsh. Those guys are all working really good with the AHL only players and the Bruins prospects that are playing down in the top minor pro affiliate. So, is it blowing anybody away? Is it going to be a Corey Proman's freaking prospect rankings down in 10 anytime soon? Probably not. But what they're doing down there is something special. Not this year particularly, but Providence is on a trend. They always get their gears going in late December, early January.
Yeah.
Much like every AHL team because of the injuries that happen to their parent club. It's just crazy.
Let's just give it time. That's what I say. It's sometimes patience is the best thing.
Absolutely. Oh, I totally agree. All right, let's get to some prospects that are outside of the organization right now. And two particularly, I know you've been driving around Southern Ontario a lot lately, watching these two guys, but I do want you to tell me about center Brett Harrison from the Oshawa Generals. You've been speaking a lot of highly good things about him, not so much when he first started, when he got released from Bruins training and so on, but lately he's been really
because I was not happy with him at the start of the season.
I know.
I was not, because unfortunately he got I don't know. I saw a lack of effort defensively. I posted a video where he followed a guy in the offensive corner around the boards and kept like 6 feet away with him and not even touching him or putting a stick on him or anything, and led to an easy breakout and a goal the other way. I was just not happy with his defensive game or effort. I mean, there was no effort. I'm just going to say it plain and simple. There was no effort. In fairness to him, he was stuck playing the wing for the most part with Ty Tullio as a center, an Edmonton 5th-round draft pick, I think he was. So it's not his natural position. I think he looked lost and didn't know what to do. But, man, I think the coaches in Oshawa saw my report on it, because the very next day they put him at center, and he's skyrocketed since then. I think he had 0 points in his first 3 games when I wrote that, and since then, where is he here? Harrison has 15 goals and 11 assists in his last 18 games.
That's not bad.
So somebody was listening to me. But,
I love it.
The unfortunate part, though, Mark, is Oshawa made a trade early last week. They acquired a kid. His name is Roloffs from the London Knights for 2 draft picks, because they wanted to spread the scoring out. So Roloffs is a 2022 draft eligible player. So they've got him playing on the first line with Ty Tullio, which bumped Harrison down to the second line. And what did he do since then? In those 3 games, he got, I got to find him again, 3 goals and 2 assists in those 2 games. Now, he's still getting top PP time. Sometimes he'll play the point. Sometimes he'll play the wing. I like the idea of him playing the point because he's got a superb shot. So he can move down to the half circle and get it off there, or he can make a play. And sometimes he plays the wing, but very rarely does he play down the middle on the PP. So, just because he's bumped down a line doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's something negative to do with him. It's just the way that they want to spread out the scoring, and it's working for them. I mean, the roll-ups kid's got 4 points in the 3 games he's been in Oshawa. So
nice.
But Harrison gets to play with a superb rookie. I mean, I know you watch OHL games too, Mark. I don't know if you
Oh, yeah, I get the CHL Live package.
Yeah,
Man. I get all 3 freaking leagues.
Caleb Ritchie, you watch, because that's who Harrison is playing with. Isn't draft eligible till 2023, and this kid is gonna be good. So I know good old Bob Weddick is keeping an eye on Harrison, so I hope he's keeping an eye on Richie for 2023.
Jesus,
keep an eye on him next time you watch Brett Harrison.
I will, and if he's available for a Bruins pick, can you imagine the fan base losing their mind about getting another Richie?
No relation to the other Richie.
All right, Tom.
I'm sure you were going to ask me about Ryan Mast too.
That's my next one. I was going right down to Sarnia Sting defenseman Ryan Mast. What can you tell me about Ryan?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you, Mark, because I don't want to pump anybody's tires unless I'm absolutely sure. And I still haven't got a solid read on him. Saturday night or Friday night, I forget which night it was, they took a 9-1 drubbing against the Kitchener Rangers, and he was a -5. And I know people watch the stat page and they're like, wow, that's no good, man. That's, you know, I mean, I read the comments, I know, but here we are in the third period, and it was 7-1, and this guy was still rushing up ice, joining the play, working his ass off with a game that they're losing 7-1, and there's like 8 minutes left to go in the game. So I love his work ethic. I love his leadership too, because at one point the camera, I wasn't at that game, so I had to watch it later on tape. The camera was scanning the Sarnia bench, and he was just giving it to his teammates. This is an 18-year-old, you know? So I love his leadership. I love the size. He's a bit of an awkward skater, Mark, and I'm sure you probably watched him too.
Yeah.
It's like he's almost bent over at a 45-degree angle for a guy who's 6'5", you know? It looks really awkward, but
like a flamingo.
Yeah, but he gets there, and he gets there quickly. So he's a superb skater, excellent edges and everything. Even his backward skating. And I like his defensive game. And he quarterbacks a power play. But my issue with Mast was, and a lot of people talk about this, is they don't know what his offensive upside is. And we're 25 games into the season, he's got 3 goals and 8 assists. So he's, about 0.4 points per game?
Yeah.
As a young 18-year-old. Excuse me. So, I don't know. I can't get a read on what he's going to be at the next level, whether he's got some offensive upside or whether he's going to be a shutdown defender.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my fair and honest take on him.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely a work in progress. This is a great league for him to develop in. Sarnia's got a decent program.
And a very young team. Very young team.
Absolutely. And, you know, Ryan's going to get involved in the summer festivities at development camp, get more adequate with the team, learn the systems, even though he's not going to be there. It's all about the small integrations into the system, into your head as a young development player. And, you know, things can really work out. We've always said to each other, Dom, that we cannot just look at a score sheet and just say, look at numbers and then say they're terrible people or terrible players and so on. They have no upside at all. That's just totally wrong. It's just, you really got to get the eye test involved and so on. Am I pumping his tires either? No, I'm not. But I'm not going to say that he's going to be a bust or anything like that either, because he's 18 years old. He's still got a long way to go. Right. Moving on to somebody that I watch a lot lately, because you know, Providence games are at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and Bruins games are at 7 o'clock Eastern time most of the time. But Fabian Lysell out in the WHL with the Vancouver Giants. This is his first year. He was a draft import from Vancouver in 2020, and he's more of an adjustment period his first couple weeks with the team, but really offensively has picked it up. I don't have the numbers in front of me or anything like that, but
I got him here, Mark. 23 games. He's got 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. The most remarkable, two remarkable stats. He's a plus 11, as a rookie in the WHL, and 28 penalty minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the fact, look, a lot of people didn't like the idea of him being sent to the WHL, but there's more than just hockey involved here. We're talking a kid who's never lived abroad on his own. He's coming into, I don't consider Canada or the U.S. separate countries when we're talking about this. It's the same thing. He's coming to a new country with totally different lifestyles, different foods and all this stuff. I actually have a thing set up to talk to his billet family on how his adjustment has gone to North America. So it's not just the hockey, it's life too. And from my understanding, this is the same billet family that had Bo and Byram in.
Wow.
So they know how to bring a kid, because Mark, you're around these guys. Billet families are like a second family to them. So
Yep.
Lysell really started, to me it was consistency, because I think through his first 20 games, I don't have those numbers in front of me, so I should have had them, that he only recorded points in back-to-back games once. But last week or 2 weeks ago, he was moved down to the fourth line.
Yep.
And then brought back, and then he just went off just like that. Some players react better to benching than being talked to, and other people need that stern talking to. I think we know what Lysell is. So he got sent down to the fourth line, moved back up, and just took off. And I think he's got points in 5 of his last 8 games. And here's the thing. The 3 games that they lost, 2 of them was once he went without a point. So we know who drives the offense there. So if Fabian Lysell puts up points, we know the Vancouver Giants have a good chance of winning.
Absolutely.
So, but now he's off to, they're scheduled to play tonight and tomorrow, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but is he off now to join Team Sweden? Or I don't think Sweden's in Canada yet.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure about that one. But I know, he did get invited, and he is going to be playing for Sweden. So.
Yeah, but I don't think Sweden's arrived in Canada yet, so he will probably play tonight and then head up to, I think Sweden is playing out of Red Deer, and the other division is playing out of Edmonton. So he'll probably head there after tonight's game, or maybe he will play tomorrow night. Who knows? Depends on when Sweden arrives.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the World Juniors, definitely.
Well, me too. We only got one Bruin in there.
Yeah.
But the hockey, unless you're talking the Olympics here or the Stanley Cup Final Game 7, you're not going to find better hockey to watch.
All right, the last player that I want to talk about is somebody I wrote an article about recently. He's going to be joining the Boston College Eagles in the 2022-23 season, and that name is Oscar Yelovic. And I think that I reached out to you, Dom, because I wasn't totally sure on what was going to happen with the next year. I'm talking about 22-23, not 23-24, when he's committed. So there's several options for him. He could definitely go and play, like you mentioned. I got to give you credit for that. This is not me, but he could definitely play in the is it the Alex Vekian League?
Yeah,
I probably hacked that.
I could barely. He could play there. He's got another year of eligibility in the J20, which is where he's playing now. He could come over for a year to the USHL. Now, I did some checking on that after you asked me, Mark. A team could add him now to their roster, even though he's playing in Sweden.
As an import, right?
Yeah. It burns a roster spot for them, so they can't fill that roster for the spot for the remainder of the year.
Oh.
So
okay.
I don't know that any team is going to take that chance, right?
That's risky. Yeah, that is risky.
More likely, he will be a top pick in the USHL draft in May. Yeah, in May. I think he'll be a first rounder in the draft. I wrote about this Monday too, Mark. He could jump to the one of Canada's junior A leagues. That's a step down, but you don't want him going there. I mean, I'm a proud Canadian, but you don't want him going there unless it's the BCHL. I'd be fine with that, but you don't want him going there. And
well, the BCHL would be the only league that he could go to, because if he does any
he could go to the Ontario Junior Hockey League, not the OHL. Right. So the Junior A leagues, they maintain
college eligibility.
Because they're not considered professionals. Now, is it possible that a CHL team could select him in the import draft next year? And I would say yes. Here's the catch. To be drafted in the CHL import draft, you have to have an import spot available. And there's always teams that have import spots available. So will anybody take the chance? I think they will. I think somebody is going to grab him probably in the second round as opposed to the first and towards the end. Now, you and I both know, Mark, there have been players that have committed to the NCAA and have reneged on those commitments and gone the junior route, okay? If I don't want to hint that the Bruins are involved in this in any way, but if you look at Fabian Lysell in Vancouver, having the season that he's having, reportedly making an excellent adjustment to North America, and the Bruins did have to work with the Giants to get him in because they had to clear
they made a trade
spot.
Actually.
Yeah, they had to clear an import spot, plus buy out his contract over in Sweden, and so on and so forth. Could they look at that and say, hey, Vancouver, draft him. Let's, we'll figure out a way to get him over here and get him into your program. Now, with Lysell, it was a different story because his general manager works for Fabian Lysell's agents group, whatever that agency. So his GM is basically his agent. The other thing with Vancouver is Scott Bradley lives in the lower mainland of British Columbia, so he's right there. So why they can work with the Giants. So I don't know. I would say that the chances of it happening are slim, but I wouldn't put it at zero, Mark. I could see a case where he's drafted in the CHL import and then goes the Canadian major junior route.
So tell me about the player, because you were excited about this one.
Oh, I'll be honest. When he was first drafted, I thought, oh, here's another PJ Axelson special. But I watched his first 3 games, like Harrison, just like Brett Harrison, went pointless in his first 3 games. I go, oh, this guy's a wash. He was a 5th round draft pick. You don't start writing those guys off that early. And then, like Harrison, hold on, I got it here. So he's played 23 games. In his last 20 games, he's got 11 goals, 14 assists, 25 points. Now, I love this kid because the more I watched him, the more I thought, man, this kid can play hockey. Skates well. He's got great edge work, sees the ice well. He can play wing and he can play center. He's playing mostly wing now. Plays on the top line. He plays 20 minutes a night, so he gets a lot of ice time. On the first power play unit, he kills penalties. He does it all. And even after a slow start, he's 10th in the league in scoring, and he's got games in hand on everybody in front of him. It's just his shot. I thought, because he's 5'11" and 181 pounds, Mark. So he's got a little bit on his frame, but you look at him, you think, man, this guy can't shoot a puck. And then you watch him wire it, and you go, wow, he can shoot. Yeah. The thing is he's got so many release points that you don't know when the puck is coming off his stick. Goalies have a hard time reading him. So
he reminds me of that. He reminds me of the old style. Well, no, Phil Kessel still does that. This is shooting in stride, which can really off balance a defender, and never mind that, really aggravate a goaltender because like a backhander, you don't know if it's where it's coming from or where it's going.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm thinking, boy, this guy was a real find by PJ, and I was at first I was like, oh yeah, another PJ Axelson special, because PJ's missed on a few guys, but I think he found one here. I mean, it's too early to tell, but I can't wait for him to get to North America and start developing the North American game and see how his adjustment goes, because we know at 18 years old, Mark, it's not written in stone. Just because he's doing it now doesn't mean he's going to do it in 2 years from now. I mean, look at Zach Senyshyn, 40-goal scorer twice, right? So it's
two Greyhounds.
Yeah.
Starting on the fourth line at the Sioux in a very deep Greyhounds team, 26 goals as a fourth liner. Then the next season goes up, gets 40, and then the next season he gets higher in the roster, gets 46.
Yeah. So we know it doesn't mean anything as an 18-year-old. It's just now watching him for the next 3 or 4 years and see how the development progresses. Like, I mean, if I can touch on Johnny Beecher, if you'll allow me. I
had him written down, but we were running out of time. So if you don't mind, go right ahead.
No, we all know how deep the Michigan Wolverines are, crazy. Like that star power team. Who, by the way, Mason Lowry's team pounced 6-1 on Saturday.
Yep.
He had the shoulder surgery a year ago. He started off the year injured again, came back and got 4 points in his first 4 games, Mark. And I liked it his all-around game is developing. And again, you're getting this in advance because somebody asked me. It's not coming out till my mailbag tomorrow, so you're getting it early.
Loving it.
So somebody asked me about him. I said, because I made this comment about it in my prospect report on Monday, but I have a concern, even though all parts of his game is developing, because he hasn't registered a point in 9 games. Okay? And it's like this person thought that I was being not very kind to him, but here's how I look at it. Yeah, you can say his all-around game is developing and blah, 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 and make the excuses. But, Michigan's so deep that, he doesn't get top-line minutes and all this. Okay, so he's getting third line? He's getting fourth line? So he's going up against weaker opponents. So with his talent being what you say it is, and he's going up against weaker talent, Why hasn't he put up a point in 9 games? Right? That's like saying Brad Marchand puts up 5 points in 5 games going up against, I don't know, the best defense, the Islanders' top pair. Okay? But when he's going up against, could be 2 really bad defensemen.
Buffalo.
Brad Marchand has moved to the 4th line. He's going up against really bad defensive pairs and gets no points.
Yeah.
That's where he should be getting more points.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what I'm saying about my point about Beecher is I don't want it. He doesn't have to be a point per game player, but he has to give me something. And if you're going up against weaker defenses and you're as skilled as everybody says you are, where's the production? I won't buy the excuse that he's not getting top line or top 6 minutes.
Yeah. This is such a deep theme. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But it's well, okay, Saturday. It's not like he was going up against Mason Lohrei, Ohio's best defenseman.
Yeah, right.
He's going up against the 3rd pair. So why no production? And it concerns me, Mark. It really does. And I don't know if it's the after effects from the injury, but he started out with 4 points in 4 games. So he's career half a point a game player in the NCAA?
Yeah.
I think. He's not at that now.
Well, it's going to be interesting on how he transitions his game, Dom, because, I mean, technically there were rumors that were going around that he was going to sign pro, but then there were a kickback from a lot of people like you and I saying, why would you do that? And with who they with who they had with like Matt Berniers and so on and Owen Power and all these guys, why would you want to turn pro when you have an opportunity to win a national championship?
Yeah. I think he signs. I think once the season is over, Mark, either signs a PTO to finish out the year in Providence, or he signs his entry-level contract and finishes the year out in Providence and maybe gets a game in Boston to burn a year off of his contract. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far with him.
Right.
I wouldn't let him burn a year off. What's the point? It's not like he's a free agent that you're trying to lure, like a Torrey Krug back in the day, right?
Right.
So he's your property. Why burn the year off? So I do think he signs once Michigan season is over. I don't know. Right now, I see him topping out as a 3rd-line center, and that's okay if Jack Studnicka is your 2nd-line center down the road, but neither one are going to be your 1st-line center. And, you know, in a couple of years, you're talking Brett Harrison, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be your 1st-line center either. So you've got Studnicka, Harrison, and Beecher and Frederick as your 4 a few years down the road. You don't have a number 1 centerman there, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I just hope that somebody falls into their lap like Pasternak did or Lysell did this year in next year's draft.
Absolutely.
It's a very good draft, so it's possible.
All right, Dom. Listen, I've had you way beyond the hour that we discussed.
Yeah.
And I truly, truly appreciate that, man. You are the best, and just somebody that I've constantly leaned on when I needed some help, and graciously gotten back to me as soon as you could, and gave me the info I needed, or just gravitated me to an area that I needed to be. So thank you for your constant friendship. Thank you for your appearance today on the program. I truly appreciate jumping in and talking. Mark. It was really fun to catch up and so on. And listen, I just want to, I will say it on Twitter later on, but I'll say it now. I hope you and your family have a safe and happy Christmas coming up in the next week or two. Actually, no, it's next week. Damn.
Yeah, it's good.
Jesus. I'm getting old and I'm losing my mind.
I'm sure my son will have my grandson watching this, but because Grandpa's on, he'll call it TV, but he doesn't quite speak enough yet, Mark, and probably won't understand when I say I got to get out to the store tomorrow and pick up his bicycle because that's what he's getting for Christmas. So, Hunter, if you're watching, you didn't catch that.
All right, please, everybody, if you want to know a lot about the Boston Bruins from a different angle and the prospects that are coming up through the system in the Canadian junior ranks particularly, please give a follow to Dom on Twitter at Dom Tiano. Dom, thanks again, man. I truly appreciate it, bud.
My pleasure, Mark. We'll have to do it again soon.
All right, folks, that was it. Dom Tiano was my guest for an hour and a half. We were only scheduled to talk for an hour, but this stuff happens. When we talk Boston Bruins hockey prospects and all kinds of good hockey stuff, we tend to get carried away. So hopefully Dom was not late for his appointment that he had scheduled. But I want to thank him so much for his time today and over the years of just being somebody to lean on when I needed an avenue, when I got stuck in my research, just knock on Dom's DMs and he came running with an answer and provided some great information that I use in my articles, I use on this podcast, and we talk about him a lot. So great follow. Please follow him at Dom Tiano on Twitter, and do check out the Dom Hockey website and all his Bruins talk and his hockey talk and so on. And I'll put that link in the show notes below. So please check that out for the YouTube viewers. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you to everybody who who's listened so far, and please rate and review. We truly would appreciate that. That really helps us a lot. But we do have a Patreon account going on. And if you want to get involved in these weekly giveaways, please donate $1 to patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. And what we do is we take 50 cents of your dollar and put that towards our small sports media company. But the other 50 cents we put that into prizes and so on. We have hand-signed jerseys. We have signed pucks. Check this out. This is Don Marcotte, 1972 Stanley Cup, fully authenticated in the back. Johnny Busick, 70-72, awesome, authenticated. Everything I buy is fully authenticated. Check this out. Terry O'Reilly, got the sign, everything, boom. I don't buy anything that's going to be, sketchy or anything like that. Everything comes with a certificate of authenticity, so you rest assured that it's coming from a real person. So this week's winner, let me grab the jersey real quick. Look at this. Hand-signed Andy Moog right up there, fully authenticated. Love it. All-star, 4-time All-star. Awesome. And this week's winner, or this month's winner of the Andy Moog hand-signed jersey is Mr. Andrew Taverna. Andrew, congratulations, bud. Thank you very much for your contribution every week, every month, every year. You've been an amazing person, and you're awesome. So this is why we do this, for people like you that contribute financially. But truly appreciate it, and I'll get this sent out as soon as possible. So that will be it for episode 257. We truly thank Dom Tiano. We truly thank Andrew Taverna, and shout out to Heather Ingerson for not making it, but continued in my thoughts and hopefully everybody's thoughts, because she's a tremendous part of this Boston Black and Gold Hockey Podcast program every week. So with that being said, my name is Mark Allred. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate and review. Please share, retweet, do all that fun stuff. But above all, it is the holidays, and we will talk next week anyway. But if I don't have a chance to talk to anybody or speak to anybody via podcast audio form, please have a great holiday. Be safe and spend it with family and friends. Numbers are going up with this stupid pandemic crap again, but hopefully you'll be able to spend some time with loved ones. So with that being said, peace the F out. Let's go Bruins. Bruins Vegas tonight. And hopefully the pandemic didn't catch any more people on this Boston Bruins team. But anyway, peace out.
Thanks again for listening to and supporting the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please share the show with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to and leave a 5-star rating for the show on your favorite podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Between shows, help us keep the Bruins talk going by visiting our website, blackandgoldhockey.com, by sending an email to blackandgoldhockeyblog@gmail.com, and by following the show on Twitter @blackandgoldpod.
Peace out.